Expedition 33 is an amazing game and it's a serious contender for my favorite game of all time. But even still, there are a couple of things I wish I knew sooner that would have made my first playthrough that much more fun. And today I want to share those things with you, starting off with parrying. Parrying in Expedition 33 can be super rewarding since it's not only a great defensive option which can deal damage in turn, it also doubles as a reliable method of generating AP for the character or characters being attacked. But pulling off a parry can be tricky since the timing for it is incredibly tight. Some enemies even have methods of screwing with you in ways that make you parry way too soon, leaving you completely exposed to an attack. So to avoid this, one of the very best ways is to listen to audio cues. A lot of enemies have audio cues which indicate the exact moment you'll want to parry an incoming attack. It can also help if you decide to dodge the first few attacks so that you can get a feel for the timing, but enemies without audio cues can sometimes be a lot harder to anticipate. And while some of them will have visual cues, it's not always as easy as reacting to a sound. A better way to rely on visuals though is to focus on the corners of your screen using your peripheral vision. Shout out to Arctics for figuring this one out. I know it sounds strange, but trust me, it works. When an enemy attacks, there's a small slow-mo effect which zooms out slightly, and just when the enemy is ready to swing, the edges will also move back in. As Arctics pointed out, observing this through your peripheral helps us to react to it a bit more reliably. Also note that a counter-attack from a parry has a crit chance, so make sure you boost your luck as high as possible to get even bigger and reliable damage numbers. The next tip I got for you will become very obvious deep into Act 2, but it also helps to know it sooner as well, and that is Pictos are the best way to quickly boost whatever stat you are looking for, be it health, speed or luck. So if you find yourself in a situation where you don't deal enough damage and also die frequently, take a look at what Pictos you are running. In Act 1 this won't matter as much and you'll benefit mostly from the Lumina effect Pictos have. But if you're in a pinch, swapping out your Pictos for something with more of whatever stat you need can sometimes be the difference between victory and defeat. While on the topic of Pictos, don't spend hours on a boss that you are genuinely stuck at, especially if it's an optional boss and your damage is lacking. Close to the end of the game, you'll get a Picto which allows you to exceed the damage cap of 9,999. And a lot of those enemies that were challenging will still be there with a fair bit of challenge, so you won't miss out on the thrill of beating a tough enemy. Right. Boom! And by this time in the game you'll probably have access to awesome yet expensive luminas. So naturally you're gonna need a ton of lumina points. And while buying color of lumina from merchants or fighting them out in the world can rack up high numbers of lumina points, did you know that there's a sneaky little side quest where you'll have to find and help out these white Nevrons, and by the end of this quest you will be rewarded with 100 lumina points. I definitely did not know about this quest on my first playthrough and actually ended up killing one of the white Nevrons, and it ended up with me failing the quest. So make sure you don't attack them or you'll have to wait until New Game Plus to claim this big fat chunk of lumina. The next tip I have for you will definitely make exploration a lot easier without the fear of accidentally advancing the story. When you find yourself wandering around within a level, you'll frequently come across multiple pathways and the game seemingly never tells you where the story will advance. But if you look closely enough, you'll see that the main path is usually marked by lamps either down on the floor or up above, and these indicate the direction you should go to advance the level or the story. So keep an eye out for these lamps and avoid them if you want to keep exploring. A tip that I didn't know about but blindly stumbled upon was unlocking the weapon Medellum for Mael. This is arguably the best weapon for her since it puts her in virtuose stance at the start of combat. The problem is, it is extremely easy to miss if you don't know about it. When fighting the gestural champions for the main quest in the gestural village, it's important that you choose Mael to fight the last contender because this rewards her with Medellum. You can still get the weapon later in the game if you did miss it though, by going back and defeating Golgra, but she is extremely challenging, so you'll probably have to wait until you're very deep into the game. And if you choose to go with Gustav or Lunay, you'll definitely end up with a weapon that's just a higher level version of the one you've already got. And the final tip that I have that I wish I knew about sooner is that for the first 5 to 10 hours or so of the game, don't bother with upgrading your weapons. I know it sounds strange, but trust me, you'll get so many weapons that are a higher level than the one you're currently using, and in the beginning of the game it really doesn't make that big of a difference until you get to the higher levels. So save your polished chroma catalysts until you get a weapon that you know you're gonna keep.